In a small South Carolina town, football is more than a game. Every Friday night, the whole community gathers under the lights. The players are treated like heroes. The coach carries the town's pressure on his shoulders, and everyone seems to know exactly where they belong. Everyone except one man. He walks through town pushing a shopping cart. He carries small things he finds along the way. He listens to his radio. He does not speak much. Most people ignore him. Some laugh at him. To them, he is just the strange man near the football field. But one coach is about to see something different. This is the story of Radio, the 2003 film inspired by the real friendship between James Radio Kennedy and Coach Harold Jones of Hanna High School. The movie begins in Anderson, South Carolina, in the 1970s. James Kennedy, played by Cuba Gooding Jr., lives with an intellectual disability. He spends his days moving quietly around town with his shopping cart and his radio. Because he is always seen with that radio, people begin calling him Radio. At first, the radio is not part of the school. He's only watching from the outside. Near the football field, Coach Harold Jones, played by Ed Harris, is focused on building a winning team. He is respected in the town, but he is under constant pressure. Parents want victories. Players want attention. The community expects football to come first. Radio watches practice from a distance. He does not ask for anything. He simply observes. But some players see him as an easy target. In one of the film's most painful early moments, a group of players cruelly mistreats Radio and locks him in an equipment shed. He is terrified, confused, and unable to defend himself. When Coach Jones discovers what happened, he is angry. But more than that, he is ashamed that someone vulnerable was hurt right in front of his team. That moment changes everything. Instead of pushing Radio away, Coach Jones brings him closer. He starts giving Radio simple responsibilities around the football program. At first, Radio is nervous. He barely speaks. He does not know if he is safe. But little by little, he begins to trust Coach Jones. The coach gives him food, he gives him attention, he gives him a place where he is not treated like a joke. And for Radio, that small kindness feels like a whole new world. Soon, the Radio becomes part of the team. He helps at practice, he stands on the sideline, he repeats the coach's movements, he celebrates with the players, he brings energy, innocence, and joy to a football program that was once focused solely on winning. The players slowly begin to change too. At first, some of them see the Radio as a distraction. But as they spend more time with him, they start to see his heart. Radio is not trying to take anything from them. He only wants to belong. Coach Jones understands this better than anyone, but the more time he gives to Radio, the more pressure builds around him. Some people in town believe Coach Jones is losing focus. Parents worry that the Radio is becoming too involved with the team. Others feel uncomfortable seeing someone like Radio inside the school environment. They do not understand why the coach is putting so much effort into one man who cannot help them win games. This becomes the film's main conflict. Coach Jones is forced to choose between what is popular and what is right. And the movie makes it clear, Radio is not the one creating the problem. The real problem is the way people treat someone they do not understand. As the football season continues, Radio becomes more confident. He starts speaking more. He learns routines. He becomes a familiar face at Hanna. Principal Daniels, played by Alfred Woodard, sees that Radio is growing, but she also worries about rules, safety, and responsibility. Meanwhile, Coach Jones's own family begins to feel the cost of his devotion. His wife Linda and his daughter Mary Helen see how much time he spends helping with the Radio. Mary Helen especially feels that her father is missing important parts of her life. This gives the story more emotional weight. Coach Jones is doing something good, but even good choices can create pain when balance is lost. One of the most touching sections of the movie happens around Christmas. The Radio receives gifts from people in the town. For someone who once stood outside the community, this moment shows that some hearts are opening. But when Radio later carries the gifts through town, a police officer mistakes him for a thief. Because Radio cannot explain himself clearly, he is taken into custody. It is a heartbreaking reminder that even when Radio is innocent, the world is quick to misunderstand him. But after the truth comes out, Radio is released. The mistake becomes another lesson for the town. Before judging someone, people must first try to understand them. After football season, the Radio becomes more involved in school activities. He begins attending classes and helping with basketball. He is no longer just the man outside the fence. He is becoming part of the daily life of Hanna. But not everyone accepts him. Johnny Clay, a star athlete who has already been cruel to Radio, tricks him into entering the girls' locker room. Radio does not understand the trap. Once again, he is put in a humiliating situation by people who know he cannot fully protect himself. Coach Jones investigates and discovers the truth. He benches Johnny, even though Johnny is important to the team. This is one of the strongest moral moments in the film. Coach Jones shows that talent does not excuse cruelty. Winning does not matter if the team loses its character. Then, the movie becomes even more emotional. Radio's mother, Maggie, dies suddenly. She was the person who cared for him and protected him at home. Without her, Radio is lost. The man who had finally found a place at school now faces the fear of being alone. This tragedy increases the pressure on Coach Jones. Some people believe the Radio should be sent away or placed somewhere else. Others still blame Coach Jones for caring too much. But Coach Jones refuses to see Radio as a burden. He sees him as a person. Later, Coach Jones explains why Radio's situation affects him so deeply. When he was younger, he once saw another boy in pain and did nothing to help. That memory stayed with him. Helping Radio is not about pity. It is about finally becoming the kind of man he wishes he had been before. By the end of the film, Coach Jones makes a major decision. He steps away from coaching football to focus more on his family and continue being there for Radio. The town that once questioned Radio's place now sees how much he has changed them. Radio receives love, respect, and recognition. He is given a Letterman jacket. He is celebrated by the school. The boy who once stood outside the field becomes part of the heart of TL Hanna. But here is where the real story matters. The movie is inspired by real people, but not every scene happened exactly that way. The real James Radio Kennedy became a beloved figure at TL Hanna High School in Anderson, South Carolina. He really did get his nickname because he carried a transistor radio. He really did spend decades connected to the school's athletics, and he really did become known as a permanent junior, meaning he could remain part of the school without graduating and leaving. The real coach Harold Jones also played a major role in Radio's life. Their friendship lasted for decades and became known far beyond Anderson after Sports Illustrated published Gary Smith's article, Someone to Lean On, in 1996. But some parts of the movie were created for drama. According to reports comparing the film to real life, the real Coach Jones said there was no major community conflict over removing Radio from school. The real principals supported Radio's presence. And while some people may have joked with him, Coach Jones said the players did not physically hurt Radio the way the movie shows in the equipment shed scene. So the film uses fictional conflict to express a real message. The true story is not about one dramatic rescue. It is about years of patience, friendship, and acceptance. Radio was not famous for winning games. He was not famous for giving speeches or for becoming rich. He became famous because a school and a town learned to see value in a person many others might have ignored. In real life, James Radio Kennedy remained a symbol of TL Hanna for decades. He attended games, supported the teams, and became part of generations of student memories. In 2006, a bronze statue of him was unveiled at the school's football stadium, and in 2016, he was inducted into the TL Hanna Athletic Hall of Fame. James Radio Kennedy passed away in December 2019 at age 73, but his legacy is still alive. Because Radio is not only a football movie, it is not only a story about a coach and a man with an intellectual disability. It is a story about what happens when one person decides not to look away. Coach Jones could have ignored Radio like everyone else. He could have protected his reputation, focused only on football, and chosen the easy path. Instead, he chose kindness. And that kindness changed not only Radio's life, but also the lives of the whole community around him. The message of Radio is simple, but powerful. Sometimes the person everyone overlooks is the person who teaches everyone how to see. And sometimes the greatest victory has nothing to do with the scoreboard.